Are you still a people pleaser? It is time out for that. If this is you, I'm going to share some amazing tips on how to get out of the people pleasing era and move into more authentic living. Stay tuned. It's an amazing day. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Andrea, and if you're new here, welcome. Here on this channel, we talk about all things mature living for the woman over 50. And if you're interested in that, stay tuned. So in today's video, I want to talk about 5 ways to stop people pleasing. Listen, if you're a Generation Xer or a baby boomer, a lot of times when we've grown up, we were taught that appearances, how we show ourselves to the world was very important. And those things are. However, I think the era that we grew up in, we definitely, as women, learn to put ourselves on the back burner and sacrifice many, many things along our journey of life for the sake of others. And though there is a proper place for that, listen, this is the time and to see in the season to put that at bay and focus on authentic living. So the first thing that we have to identify is, why are we people pleasers? So over 13 years ago, after my divorce, I began a journey of personal and self-development. I've gone through therapy, had coaches, still have coaches, and ultimately became a life coach myself. However, that's neither here nor there. It doesn't make me any different than anyone else, right? But it's so important for us, especially in this season of our life, to begin some self-reflection. We are in a very different season. We're in a different season physically in our lives, financially in our lives. At this season, we begin to start thinking about, I hate to say end of life, but retirement and where we are, right? And so it is a season to really sit down and self reflect about who you are now, what it is that you desire for your life, and how you can begin to go about that. So here's something I want to share with you. I challenge you today. A great way of self reflection is something that I call 30 likes. So I want you to just take a notebook, take a sheet of paper, number it 1 to 30. And I want you to list 30 things that you like. Essentially, 30 things that you enjoy, that you want to do, that you desire to do. And then I'll tell you what to do next. Now, once you are able to fill in those 30 likes, and I'm going to tell you, it's a little more challenging than what we think. And I mean, I want you to list anything that you like, your favorite foods, places that you desire to go, what you like to do, simple, large, whatever it is. What is it that you like? And then I want you to determine how often you do those things. And if there are things that you haven't done that you've listed, what is the holdup? What is hindering you? Why haven't you begin to do that? Now, when we begin to reflect, a lot of times we'll find out that, we haven't done things or attempted to do an activity or go in a different direction in our life because what we're afraid of what people think. And here's the truth, you guys. Listen, people really, they really don't care. They may make a commentary based on their opinion or their experience, but this is your life. You only get one opportunity. And of course, whenever you're trying to do something new, whether it's an activity, whether it's a hobby, whether it's a 180-degree change in your life, it's going to be uncomfortable. But if not now, then when? This is your time and season to take those 30 likes and begin to, in some way, shape, or form, to do them. When it comes to self-reflection, of course, these 30 likes or this challenge of sitting with yourself and making a plan if you will, to do some of those things. It doesn't happen overnight. But I want you to just shift your mind today and begin to think differently, because that's kind of where people pleasing starts, right? Or to not or no longer people please. It begins with some self reflections, asking ourselves some really deep questions: what it is that we want to do, why we're afraid to do it, and how do we develop that fear or apprehension? As I said earlier, for many of us, especially Generation Xers and baby boomers, a lot of our apprehension came from childhood. We grew up in a very different time. Our parents and their discipline styles and their behavior was very different than it is today, and probably very different than how those of us who have children have raised or are raising our children. But I want you to break out of the mold today. The main point I want you to understand with self reflection is you've got to get to know you. You only have one life. You are your most valuable asset. And if not now, then when? There's nothing more powerful than regret. Now, next, we got to learn to set some boundaries. And for me in general, growing up, I came from a background of codependency. Now, I didn't know that was codependency, until I began to go through therapy and counseling over, 13, 14 years ago. But I came from that, you know, codependent lifestyle of my family, that interwoven, not knowing where boundaries began and where personal boundaries began and where they should end. And so we have to learn how to say no and how to set boundaries in our lives for other people and also for ourselves. And I know that when we talk about boundaries, it sounds so harsh, like we have to be mean and nasty. And that's so far from the truth. I've taught many classes and master classes on setting boundaries in the past, but it is one of the most powerful things that you can do in your life is to determine what it is that you want and need and begin to set parameters in your life for that. And it's very, very important to overcome people pleasing. So I have two book recommendations for setting boundaries. One is the book called Boundaries. It is a classic by Henry Cloud. He goes into so many forms of boundaries, how to set them, why they are important, and the details of it. And then the second book is called Set Boundaries, Find Peace by the author Nedra Glover Nawab. Tawwab, Tawwab. I had to look that one up. I couldn't remember. But those are two great books to begin reading and learning more about how to set appropriate boundaries in your life so you don't have to continue to people please and feel guilty about it. It's time for us in this season of our life to really be living life to the fullest and authentically be ourselves. We'll be so much happier. Next, we have to practice self care on a regular basis. This is an important part of people pleasing, if you will, because oftentimes we're so concerned about doing more for others than we are for doing for ourselves. And we have to learn to practice self-care. Now, self-care for everyone is very different, but you know what you want. Go back to that list of 30 things, right? Of 30 likes. Why are you not implementing those things in your life? It's so important, especially you guys after 50. Our bodies are changing, our hormones are changing, our life situation and circumstances are changing, our children are getting older if they're not already, adults and out of the home. And now we have to focus more on ourselves and our well-being. Especially if you're a single woman, right? What does the future look like for you? What does your present day look like for you? How are you living? Right? And this is a time of peace, fulfillment, enjoyment. And listen, it doesn't have to be in grand things. It can be in simple things. Whatever it is that you enjoy and you like. I am on such a peace journey. It is amazing that at this season of my life, if you don't bring peace, then baby, you can't hang around here too long, if you know what I mean. As I said earlier, most of us Gen Xers, baby boomers, how often did we see our moms and grandparents really taking time for themselves? We love them. They were great providers and servers and doing all those things, but how often? And maybe you did see that in your family, and that's great. You had a model for that. But majority of the women that I have not only coached, been friends with, just been in spaces of work environments, church environments, most women did not have a good, healthy model of taking care of themselves, giving themselves time and walks and doing the things that we thoroughly enjoyed. It's very different. So a lot of times as Generation Xers and baby boomers, we have to sort of reprogram ourselves, right? And put ourselves literally on the calendar to do the things that we desire. And that can be from simply taking a nap to sleep or to travel or to massages and manicures and pedicures or even therapy. Right? A form of self care is maybe we're holding on to some emotional baggage that we've been dragging around for decades. Maybe we have some secrets and things that people don't even know that we've been carrying or hiding away, and it's holding us down. Therapy and counseling and coaching is a form of self care as well. And you'll find that that's part of the inner self care. So we need both inner self care as well as outer self care. You are your number one asset. You're going to be with you till the end, as I am with myself, right? And it's so important that we do the very best that we can to take care of ourselves. Now, next, we have to stop trying to be perfect. Perfectionism is one of the biggest hindrances to success, to changing our lives, trying something new, because we want everything to be perfect. And again, for us, as I'm going to keep saying, we grew up in a very different era. And for some of us, it was all about how we performed. But listen, we're not perfect. Let's just think about our lives right now. If you're a parent, I'm going to use it as an example. Think about when you had your first child and how lost we were and how we just thought we are going to be perfect until that kid came into the world and threw us for a loop, right? We recognized very quickly that there's some things that we didn't know, and you only learn through doing. That is my point. Things are not going to be perfect in the very beginning when you try something new, and it's okay. It is definitely okay. Me starting this particular YouTube channel is a part of going forward. I know it's not perfect, right? I know I'm going to make some mistakes. I know there's some things I don't understand, but if I sit around to wait and wait to get every bit of knowledge or to implement, that'll be a whole year or two from now, right? So we're going to learn by doing and go with the flow. It doesn't mean that we do things haphazardly necessarily, but we have to stop being or attempting to be perfect because none of us are. And perfectionism, if you will, is the greatest hindrance to many, many things in our lives. So, whatever you've been wanting to do it. Get the information, invest in yourself if it requires money or your time. Do it. Do it. You don't have to be perfect to start. And then, lastly, one of the big pieces of beginning to get rid of people pleasing is really who you surround yourself with. Because your authentic friends and family, they love you for you. You don't have to show off, you don't have to show up as something different than you authentically are. So, a lot of times we have to look around us and see who we have in our circle, who we're spending time with, and make sure we're finding a area, if you will, of supportive and loving people. And when we're in those spaces, when that is our circle, then it is more easy for us to thrive authentically and be less concerned with doing things to please others. You've come a long way, baby. I've come a long way. And if it's the Lord's will, we have a long way still to go. I want to encourage you on today that don't allow people pleasing to be the hindrance for you to not live your authentic, peaceful, fulfilling life. This is the time, this is the season to do it. So, whatever that thing is that you've been contemplating, that you've been wanting to do, get started right now. If you need to seek information, do that. If you need to save some money for it, do that. If you need to take some money that you have to invest in that thing, in equipment, in a LLC, in hiring somebody to help you with whatever that is, physically, if it's a personal trainer, whatever that thing is. Don't worry about what other people say. This is your life. You only get one, and I hope that you live it to the fullest. And there you have it. No more people pleasing. We are too old for that nonsense. I hope that something that I've said today has helped you and encouraged you to do more, be more, even in this season of our lives. So listen, make sure that you subscribe to my channel, that you hit the like button, and that you hit that notification button so that you can get all future notifications of my videos. I will see you next time. Have a wonderful day and be blessed. Mwah!